My name's Margaret and we're at Tooth Memorial Home in Manly, and I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate trifle today. This is a recipe that one of my family members has shown me a couple of years ago, so we've been making it for our last 2 Christmases for our Christmas dinner. We've got some plain flour, some baking soda, a little bit of sugar and some cocoa. In this jug I have the water and olive oil for the chocolate cake. I've got whipped cream with Baileys here. I've got some Maltesers for decorating. I have some shaved chocolate bits, some small dark chocolate drops. I have Nutella, Hershey's chocolate syrup, the Baileys that's going into the trifle, and I have some fresh berries. Right, so I've made a fresh vanilla custard in this pot, and it's cooled down a little bit. It's only going to be warm enough to melt the chocolate pieces that we're going to stick in, so I've got the chocolate bits here. So you turn your custard off once you've cooked it and let it sit for about 10 minutes so it's not boiling hot, and then you add your chocolate pieces and they'll slowly start to melt in. And once you do that, you'll see it starting to turn brown with the chocolate, and then you can add your Nutella in. So if you buy store-bought custard, you can pop it into a microwave safe bowl and heat it up for a couple of minutes, just so it's warm enough to melt the chocolate and the Nutella, and then you let this completely cool in the fridge while you prepare the rest of your trifle. Okay, so I'm gonna put the wet ingredients into the mixer first, and then I'll add my dry ingredients. And I'm gonna mix that on medium speed for 5 minutes. So after 2 minutes of mixing on medium speed, I'm just going to scrape the sides to make sure there's no cake mix still sitting on the sides or the bottom, so it can be incorporated well. Right, it's been 5 minutes now, so we're going to take the cake mix out of the mixer. Now your cake mix is done, we can get ready to put it into our baking tray. You can use an 8-inch cake tray, but I'm using a flat tray here today so that it can cook a little bit faster for me. So this is around about the consistency you want, like thick pouring custard. And make sure you get all of that cake mix out of that bowl. And then we will just spread it across our pan here and make sure it's all nice and even. And now we're going to pop it into the oven. Alright, so I've preheated the oven to 160 degrees, and I'm going to put the cake in for 15 minutes on fan bake. Right, so now we're going to whip our Baileys whipped cream for our trifle. I've got the cream here going into the mixer. I've got some icing sugar. And I've also got the Baileys in this bottle here, and we'll whip that on medium for a few minutes, 3 minutes. So after 2 minutes of mixing on medium speed, you can turn the speed up and put it up to a high speed until your cream is fully whipped and everything has come together. Right, our whipped cream's all done and ready to start assembling our trifles. So the consistency of the whipped cream should be medium to firm peaks. If you give it a jiggle, it moves a little, but it's not going to move around the bowl. After 15 minutes, our cake's all done. So we're going to pull it out of the oven and let it cool. Right, so now I'm going to cut our cooled chocolate cake into a circle to fit in the trifle bowl. So this bread plate is the right size to fit in our trifle bowl. So I'm just going to go around the edge of the bread plate with a knife and cut out the shape. And since we're doing a double layer trifle, I'll do 2. So with the outside edges of the cake that you're not going to use for the trifle, you can save them and make cake pops with them. You just mix some icing, frosting with the cake mix and roll them into balls. And here we have our 2 discs for our trifle. This chocolate cake I've made today, just this morning, but you can use chocolate sponge rolls from the supermarket, or you can use brownie or any of your own cake mix recipes that'll work for this trifle. Right, so we've got all our ingredients cooked and prepared. So now we're going to assemble our trifle. On the first layer we're going to put the cake that I've cut out to fit the trifle bowl. We're going to place that in the bottom of the bowl. Might need to push it down a little bit. So I've got my first layer of chocolate cake down the bottom. I'm going to soak it in a bit of Bailey's and just leave that for a couple of minutes to soak into the cake mix. Right, after about 10 minutes you'll notice that most of the Bailey's is soaked into your cake layer. And you can do the next step, which is to do your layer of Nutella custard. So I'll just put 1, 2 ladles of custard there. And then you would let this set in your fridge for 5 minutes. Right, now that the trifle's been chilling for 5 minutes, we can do our next layer, which is the Bailey's cream. I'm just going to pipe a layer of the cream on top of the custard, like so. And now we just repeat the same steps with the cake. So we'll put a second layer of cake there. The Bailey's on top of this layer, Nutella custard, and we'll do 2 ladles of that again. We're going to pipe our whipped cream on. And then we can start with the decorations. Right, so I like to use some fresh berries and Maltesers, some shaved chocolate and some chocolate syrup to decorate my trifle. So I'm going to start with the chocolate syrup. Just like so. Sprinkle over some shaved chocolate bits. I have some Maltesers here, which I'm just going to pop a few on the top. And I've also crushed some Maltesers just for a little bit of texture. You can place your fresh berries around and decorate it nicely. So I've got raspberries, I have some blueberries and some strawberries. And I like to cut the strawberries in half and have them sticking up out of the trifle. And I'll just dust it with a little bit of icing sugar. Once you've finished decorating the top of your trifle, you can put that into the fridge for at least an hour before you serve it. So this is my trifle all done. If you want to try a family-friendly version, you could substitute the Bailey's for some Milo and soak the cake in Milo, or if you like caffeine, you can have some coffee. Thank you for joining us, and I hope everyone has a good Christmas and tries out my chocolate trifle.